The last
That's
thing that
it.
they want to talk about in that debate is the integrity of the election, which I do think is a super interesting point. What do you think about the whole mail-in voting thing?
It's weird. I find it hard to. Um, I don't know. I wasn't sure why Trump was gonna say that. I thought mail-in voting was gonna be a thing, and I wasn't sure why Trump wanted to make it seem rigged. Now at this point, I almost I almost see it as Trump getting his supporters out because I've seen some videos where his supporters don't trust mail-in voting at all, and I think it's
Mm-hmm.
to make sure that his supporters go out and vote because they know that they think that the Democrats are going to rig it or they think it's going to get rigged somehow. But I mean, also, if no one vote, a lot of Democrats now are going to. A lot of Democrats now are going to vote in person and early instead of mail-in, and it would be very interesting for Trump to win and be like, "Look, we had the biggest turnout in Democratic history, and I still won, right?" like,
Well, here's the thing. I think you mentioned an interesting point, which is that he wants all of his voters to get out and vote. But I don't think that he's doing that. So I think that what you're saying is right. I think that he does want them to get out and vote, but I think it's for this reason. So the mail-in votes won't get calculated on the same day as the election.
right.
And what that means is, let's say that all of the Republicans went and voted for Trump on the day of the election,
Mm-hmm.
and then all of the Democrats mailed in their votes and they start getting counted. And let's say the overall vote tally meant that Joe Biden won. Well,
Mm-hmm.
what you would see is on election day, Trump would have a massive lead, and then over the next 3 to 5 days or the next week, you would slowly see Joe Biden winning from all these mail in votes. Obviously, Trump is then going to point to that and go, they're cheating, right? And so I think that that is part of why he's doing that. But I also do think that, like, in some of the states with the mail in voting, it doesn't look like a safe election process. Like New Jersey is going to mail out a ballot to everyone in their records. Now, you've worked for a big company that has a lot of people on a list
yeah.
before. You know
Yeah.
that those records are invalid very quickly, let alone
Easily
all of the people
modifiable,
in the state.
stolen.
Well,
I was
yeah,
talking with my
people have
uncle
moved out,
who.
people have died. There's tons of people that have records of living in New Jersey still that don't live there or never lived there even.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're going to mail out a ballot to all of those people, you are asking for some level of fraud to potentially happen. Like if let's say that I was a huge Democrat, right? And the a mail-in ballot arrived in my mail for me and one arrived for you because you also used to live here previously. I'm obviously just going to vote for Joe Biden on both the ballots and send them in.
Yeah. Pretty much.
And that was where Trump got in, like, oh, people were sort of having a go at Trump because he basically told his voters, he told his supporters, like, vote in public, vote in person, and then also do a mail-in vote if they're saying that their thing is so, if they're saying that their process is so secure and no fraud can happen. Well, let's test it, basically. And people got a bit upset because he was sort of encouraging voter fraud, but
I don't know. That one's a weird one. Yeah. I don't really have a
well,
solid stance on that because it's like I don't think that I think it's kind of messy how Trump handled it, but at the same time it is not like it is not the best way to vote right now. We don't have a
I
solid mail-in voting process at all. Or sorry, not we. I'm a Canadian, by the way, but
yeah,
America
yeah.
does not have a solid voting process at all. And yeah, like you said, if people, I get mail from random people all the time at my old
All the
house,
time.
all the
Yeah.
time. And yeah, if I was a Democrat, if I was a low key, if I knew that everyone was gonna mail in vote and I received those, what is gonna stop me from, like you said, doing that? And I might do that. I might just write Republican on all of it, right? And
Right.
because you know the Democrats are gonna do the same. They at this point they're saying vote for Biden because no matter what, because Trump is ugly. So if they get multiple of
Right.
those,
Yeah. Exactly.
they're they're
Yeah.
filling them all out.
I'm hearing people say they want to put a bullet in Trump's head. You think that they're like what? That their integrity is so high that they're not going to fraudulently vote? Like what? What are we talking about here? But I do think that you're right that Trump handled it, and has made this into a huge deal and has made this into a divisive thing like he always does. And I'm not a fan of any of that. But I also think it's hilarious that the Dems were basically saying, no, there's no fraud. There's no fraud. It's completely secure. And then when Trump challenged his voters or his supporters to go and fraudulently vote, they basically said he's asking them to commit fraud. But you're saying that he can't. You're saying that it's not possible. You can't have it both. You can't have it both ways. And it seems to be something where, like, I don't know if he's doing it just to be divisive. I don't know if he's doing it just to trap the left in their stupid fucking comments they make, because everyone should be able to agree that mail-in voting is not secure. Not as secure as in-person voting.
Yeah, I agree.
Like,
and that point you said we've talked about before, and I missed that, but that is also, proving that the Democrats are changing the Democrats' minds into them not trusting the voting process. Is kind of genius in and of itself.
Yeah. And all he had to do was call their bluff, basically, and say, oh, okay, you think it's secure? Let's see if my base goes and does it, if it'll be very secure.
Yeah, I forgot about
Which,
that.
when you're telling him that he's making this into a bigger deal than it is, and you're constantly making him out to be this guy, like, I mean, it's just the play that I would expect people to make. It's the play that I would expect a lot of people to make in that situation. And it's not like he doesn't have really good political strategists helping him.
Yeah,